I'm the University Internship Coordinator here at Fresno State, and I work in the Career Development Center. And today we have a great group of alumni who are going to share a little bit about their career journey. They come from both the College of Agriculture, the Jordan College of Agricultural Sciences and Technology, and the Craig School of Business. And so as we get started, I'd like all of you, a couple housekeeping notes. If you have questions, I really encourage you to use the chat feature. We're keeping a pretty close eye on that if you have any questions. And feel free to ask them. No question is a bad question. So starting out, and it looks like Nick might have had to, I'm betting he had to take a call. Oh, there he is. Let's start, and I'm using my gallery to guide who's gonna talk, but Amandeep, let's start with you. What I'd like you to share is a little bit about what you do, when you graduated, what your degree is in, and let's start with that.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Amandeep. I graduated in May of 2015. Right now, I'm an accounting supervisor at Foster Farms. I graduated in accounting from Craig School of Business, and then I got my CMA license in 2017. So,
very good. Alicia, tell me about you.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Alicia Porras. I also go by Ali. I'm actually still currently a student, but I will be graduating next December. My major is in entrepreneurship, and I'm very involved in everything entrepreneurship on campus. Aside from owning my own business called Humble Hemp Products, I also work for the Entrepreneur Mentor Program on campus. And that's pretty much me.
All right, and Galil.
Hey everybody, I'm Jalil Dillard. I'm a graduate of the Ag Business Department of the class of 2019 in the spring. I currently serve as the demand planner at Olum Edible Nuts in Livingston, California. I'm excited to be here today and tell you guys about my job and what I do and life after college.
All right, and Nick.
Yeah, so I'm Nick Wolfenden. I graduated from the Animal Science program in 2016, and I'm currently the Global Director for Sustainable Animal Welfare for Cargill, based out of Minneapolis, but I travel around quite a bit, so.
Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about the experiences that you had during college that you think have helped you in getting to where you are today. So, and I'll leave that open to the group to jump in there and share what they think.
Yeah, so I'll start, if nobody minds. When I was in school during my undergrad, I started off being involved in Associated Student Government, ASI. I was the senator to the Jordan College of Agriculture. That helped me to really expand my network and to really connect with individuals on and off campus. I was also involved in Greek life. I was the president of my fraternity, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, for 2 years, and a member of the Ag Business Club on campus as well, along with EMP. And personally, I feel as a young student, it was very critical for myself to be a part of those so I can network, like I said, meet individuals and expand really the knowledge that I was given outside of the classroom.
Excellent, thank you.
yeah, and I have the similar experience as well. I was part of an IMA club, an accounting club, and then that helps you to build your connections outside of your college career to pretty much you're building connection. You're looking outside and the companies you're pretty much the companies you're gonna be applying for. Through an IMA, I decided to be a part of a cost accounting group. So that's how I applied for foster farms and internship as well. So when you're interning for a company, you get to know the real world, your Excel skills, outside of your classes. So you build connections, and that really helps you to get to land a job that you want.
Excellent, thank you. Anyone else? Oh, Nick.
I would just piggyback on that. I was heavily involved in lots of different clubs in Jordan College. I even started a club for animal welfare since I didn't see anything on the landscape in the college. I think that's since been folded into several other clubs in the department, but also took the time to participate in extracurricular jobs. So not only did I work on the farm, but I worked in other groups throughout the community, which allowed me to then get different certifications, which enabled me to ultimately get different internships in my jobs.
I also, like everyone else, did or have been really involved in a lot of extracurricular activities that I do believe have led to where I am now. One of the main programs I would say was the Entrepreneur Mentor Program, which is the one I work for now. But definitely that's where I started my own business, and also met so many other great mentors and resources. And aside from the Entrepreneur Mentor Program, also the Hatchery Program in the Lao Center of Innovation and Entrepreneurship has been a tremendous help. Also, the Coleman/Johansson Student Fellows Program. Also the Hispanic Business Students Association. All of those have been great assets, I would say.
So really the bottom line is getting involved, which can be somewhat challenging during this current period of time. But I know many of the clubs and orgs are still meeting via this format. So you would encourage, I'm assuming all of you, for students to get involved in clubs and organizations and look for those opportunities to grow your network. I'm also curious, because we've talked a little bit about it, have all of you done internships? I mean, Alicia, your life is, you're an entrepreneur, so I don't know if you've done one, but have you done internships in the past, and how did those help you clarify your career direction?
Me personally, I actually haven't done any internships, but I know Jaleel has.
Well, I did an internship every year that I was in school. That's actually how I was blessed and fortunate to be able to pay for my education. I did internships all around the country. I did internships in Mexico. I highly encourage internships, whether they're during the school year or during the summer, so you can go out and get that knowledge that you need as a young adult that prepares you to enter the industry. My experiences in my internship, they really got me prepared for the job that I'm in now. They helped my communication skills. They gave me the tools that I needed to be where I'm at now, and I'm still going. And that foundation was built at the internship level, definitely, for me at least.
Yes, and I have done an internship as well while I was in college with small businesses administration. So, well, accounting is different in books, and then versus what you're actually doing for the company. So it really helped me focus on what I want for my future, and that's how I decided to earn my CMA license. Because of that internship, I wanted to know that I would like to step into more of a cost accounting than of external accounting. So I think when you go outside of your comfort zone, or you go for companies for real work, it helps you decide what you want for your future. You you're able to make decisions. So I think it's very important for you to go and do internships. And if you can do more than one, I would highly recommend doing that. So I regret not doing that, but still what I have achieved is because of that internship. So you build connection, you apply for jobs, you have your references on your resume. People know how hard you work. So it won't help you unless you go out there and show your hard work as well. Grades do matter, but definitely out of your classes and getting involved does help. So I think that's very important.
And Nick, I believe you mentioned you've done several or did several internships or relevant work while in college.
Yeah, so I worked for several different organizations, the California Ag Leadership Foundation, for one summer as a campus coordinator, putting on some of their events. But I also worked at the poultry facility on campus most summers, which that was in partnership with Foster Farm. So I had heavy connection building there. But as someone who hires folks all year, and I actually have an internship program every summer, it's key for me to see internships on folks' resumes because that applicable skill is different than the skills you learn in the classroom. And so having that hands-on experience actually with a company is especially when you're starting out in the career force.
That's great, thanks. Galil, you had something else you wanted to share? Oh, we lost your sound, bud.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
And as a young person entering the workforce, I'd have to say that experience for a lot of people does matter. So they want to see that you have experience, at least in the industry, and going out and finding an internship can definitely help to look better on an application or in an interview as well.
Well, and the beauty of the ag and food industry is I'd say the vast majority of internships are paid opportunities. It's really rare that there's an unpaid internship. So if you're looking to make money and get really valuable experience, the ag and food industry is a great place to go. And as you can see, we've got Amandeep that's doing business functions, and then Alicia's who's running her own business, and I'll be excited to hear actually a little bit more about what each of you do. But before I ask about that, sometimes you go back and think, man, I wish I had known this while I was in college. So what do you know now that you wish you would have known or done while you were a college student?
Happy to jump in first.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
Yeah, no worries. I think there's several things. One of which, I was actively involved, but I wish I would have taken more advantage in like student body outside of my own major. Obviously, I continue to work in animal science, but I think having a breadth of knowledge is super helpful for different folks. So not limiting myself to just what was available in my own department or my own college would have been super helpful, and also helped build connections outside of my immediate network. And then also I wish I had looked into internships outside of the area. So obviously I've traveled around a lot post-grad, and I think having those experiences outside of California would have been extremely beneficial. And I think employers like to see that diversity as well, that not only can you work in California, and specifically for the ag sector, California is like its own world, and then there's like the rest of the world for agriculture. And so having experience outside of California is critical, and it brings a totally different perspective.
Very good. Anybody else? Well, that was a great response, Nick. And so, Nick, you already touched on this once, but about having that experience when you're applying for positions, but what skills do you think students need to be really successful in the ag and food industry?
So I think there's a couple. So one, you have to be able to talk the talk. So you need to be good at communications, but you also have to have the firm understanding of what's actually happening on the farm. So being able to actually speak technically in terms of communicating to different farmers, different producers who maybe have specific industry jargon is critical. But then you have to contrast that with actually being able to then talk to the general public and relay that same information in a meaningful and understandable way. So I think communications is a huge one. And then certainly any relevant accreditations that you need for whatever field you're in. So for example, in mine, there's several different accreditations that you're members of, like the Poultry Science Association, the North American Meat Institute. There's several auditing certifications you can have that are relevant. And all of those things are critical in setting yourself apart.
And also, if you're an accounting major, or I think it probably is relevant for anyone, teamwork, collaboration. We do a lot of projects that I have all of my staff involved. So being able to work as a team, really, I think it's a key to be successful in future. So, and while we're in college, that's why I really like the classes that involves you in groups. So leadership, you have to have a leadership quality to be able to run your staff, or even if you don't have a direct staff, you should be able to put your ideas on the table. So you should be confident for that. So collaboration, confidence, good work ethics, and definitely a professionalism. So I think all these qualities, if it would definitely build your future in a right way, and you be successful.
Oh,
I definitely agree with Amandeep and Nick. And the only thing I would add, which Nick kind of touched on too, is that how important really communication is, particularly having all your soft skills before you enter the field, because really in college that's not ever taught. There's never a class on soft skills, yet it's one of the most important things you need in any field.
And from my take, I'm in supply chain as a demand planner, so I'd recommend having an analytical background or a strong math function when you go out into supply chain or into other aspects of agriculture and supply chain planning as well.
yeah, and data analysis these days is critical for almost any position. So, Nick, you had another thought?
Yeah, I just want to add, I think another important thing, and hopefully folks are working on this too, is just being a self-starter and a self-motivator. And as someone who, when you're entering the workforce, I think it's very common for folks like get an assignment and then be like, okay, I finished it. But like always actively looking for what is next and what else can I do is important. And I want to be able to give someone a end goal, and then they need to figure out their own way to get there. So being able to work through that is critical as well.
All right. I do have a question from our audience. Did you, when you got your CMA, what were the requirements and necessary steps that you had to take to get that certification?
There are two parts involved for CMA. You can take them as long as you have your accounting units completed. So I believe bachelor in accounting. Another major can take CMA exam as well, like finance, but there are some certain accounting units that you have to complete. While you have your units completed, you'll also need 2 years of experience as well, working for a manufacturing company. So once you have your experience and your units completed and you pass your both parts of the exams, you'll get your license.
Very good. My next question, I'd like each of you to share a little bit about after you graduated to where you are now. And I'd really like to hear about your job and the company you work for. So yeah, each of you, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about your career path and what you're doing now and what your company is about.
I'm okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm an accounting supervisor with Foster Farms. Foster Farms is a chicken industry. I started off as an accountant right after my graduation in 2015. After 2.5 years, I got promoted to be an accounting supervisor. I oversee 2 of my staff, an accountant and accounting clerk, and I report to a controller. So we're like 5 of us handling the cost accounting department for one of the facilities here located in Fresno. And
No, go ahead, dear.
yeah, and I really like working for this company. While you're in college, especially if you're an accounting major, you look forward to work for big fours, external accounting, or going for CPA or CPA firms. But I'm glad I made the decision to work for a manufacturing company and earned my CMA license, because cost accounting is very unique. It's fun. I really like working for foster farms and working in cost accounting department. It's so different from the financial accounting for external accounting.
Okay, very good. Yeah, and add that too. You did what I was going to ask, which was, what do you like about, what's your favorite part about your job? So if you can add that to the question.
My favorite part of the job is being able to be getting in touch with operational people, because when you're an accountant, you assume that you'll be in your office all the time working on your computer, but as a cost accountant, you're pretty much, it's totally different. You're working for a team, you're working for operational management. They have questions, so you're contributing to the success, you're leading them to the right way, you're budgeting the product, you're telling them what would the sale price be able to make the profit. So that's the fun aspect of my job. I being able to getting involved outside of my office, going in the plant, taking a tour, looking at the product and building standards based on that, looking at the labor. So I think all these aspects, they make my job real fun, because I'm not all the time in my office. I'm actually outside of my office, talking to my managers, talking to operational management, and helping them the way I could, and helping them to be succeed. And for it's really nice.
Thank you, Amadee. Let's see, Alicia, I want to hear about your company.
Hi,
And how did
yeah.
it come to be?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if any other entrepreneurship majors are watching, but typically a lot of entrepreneurship majors, at least in the years planned of graduation, they try to create a business like the last year. And because I had been exposed to finding out about the Entrepreneur Mentor program on campus, that program really, really changed my mind, or like changed my perspective, and made me realize, like, what am I waiting for? I want to do this now. And also, since particularly my product, or like my company being in the hemp industry, I started the company really out of need, because my mom was so sick, and after so many years going after so many products, it was so much frustration. So it was really a passion, like a labor of love and a lot of passion. And had I done the typical entrepreneurship route, which is waiting until like your very end of your years to start a business, I definitely would have graduated by now. But I do see a lot of benefits to being a student entrepreneur. So that's one thing I would say to anyone watching that's currently a business student. I would highly recommend looking at all the resources that are on campus, because there are so many, and as soon as you're not a student, those are pretty much cut off. So I just highly recommend milking all the resources students are provided, because there's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Alicia, what's your favorite part of running your company?
My favorite part would definitely be getting all the positive feedback. Since I started this to make my mom alleviate her pain and give her relief, hearing that feedback from others basically tells me that I'm doing what I was meant to do, that this was my passion. That gives me the fuel that I desire.
Great. Well, I see Galil's mic is on, so tell us about what you do and how you
Okay.
got there.
Yeah, so I graduated in the spring of 2019, and the day after graduation, I moved down to Mexicali, and I started harvesting onions for a company out of Livingston called Cincinnati, and I was the harvest supervisor for about a year. I got tired of living out in the desert, and I wanted to move home. I became the shipping and receiving coordinator for a company, H&I, Houston Nut Incorporated, out of Houston, California. I led the shipping department at H&I for about 6 months. And then during that time, Olum out of Fresno, they came and they acquired Houston Nut Company and our three manufacturing and processing facilities. Shortly thereafter, I was promoted, I think 2 times to the current position I'm at now. I'm currently on the supply chain team. I work as the demand planner, and I interface between our sales and marketing team along with our production team to provide the appropriate level of forecasting and projections for the whole team and our customers as a whole. We manufacture almond flour, almond products such as sliced almonds, whole natural almonds, blanched almonds for customers such as Costco, Hershey's, Mars, and a few other candy confectionery companies as well. Um, I'd say the best part of my job, I'd have to say, is interacting with the people that actually work inside the manufacturing facilities. I love that the connection. It truly takes us all as a team to get our product from field to market, and to be a part of that. It really makes me happy. It makes me feel as I'm doing more than I'm actually doing. So. I love working in supply chain. I love working with my team. I work with two other individuals that are also in production planning. My boss is based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So we FaceTime and communicate via Zoom. I love working for a big company as a whole, a corporation. Olum is multinational. We're in everything from edible nuts to spices to cocoa to cotton, and we're all around the world. So getting the big corporate picture right after college, I think was a huge benefit for myself. And I'd recommend the experience for other individuals that are like-minded as well.
All right, thanks. Nick?
Yeah, so like I said, I work for Cargill and I lead their global animal welfare program. So I span all species across, I mean, almost all continents besides Antarctica. Um, and my career path would have been starting at Fresno State. Obviously, I actually worked for Foster Farms um, on campus and led a lot of the research initiatives there on the university farm. So did a bunch of research for nutrition and animal welfare. Was key in helping Foster Farms get American Humane certified in the Central Valley, not only at that location, which was their first to be certified, but also expanded beyond just that one location to have the whole company certified American Humane. That work actually led me to American Humane Association, where I worked for about a year, actually, working on animal welfare policy and standard creation. So looking at what different standards we want to put in place from an animal welfare perspective. It was then that I actually was recruited by Tyson. So there wasn't a lot of folks that were working in the animal welfare space at the time. And Tyson was trying to build up their corporate animal welfare program. So I was asked to come create a large poultry animal welfare group, which I did. So when I started at Tyson 4 years ago, it was just myself. And when I left 4 years later, there was an animal welfare group that was roughly 60 people deep, spread out across the United States, who everybody's sole responsibility was focused on animal welfare. I then expanded into other sustainability measures, so like greenhouse gas emissions, water reduction, land stewardship, and all other aspects that touched sustainability beyond just animal welfare. So again, looking at the people and the planet and not just the animals. So that has been a critical piece that enabled me to travel all over the world and get international experience, both in India and China, Europe. And so from there, it was Cargill actually, I guess the beginning of the year, called and wanted to do something similar. So they asked if I would lead a global initiative for them to build out their animal welfare programs and other sustainability initiatives as well. So I've since transitioned, and I've been at Cargill, I guess, just since the beginning of the year. And it's been a great transition. Love what I get to do every day. I love the aspect that I'm not sitting in an office all day. I'm working collaboratively with academics for research still, and I'm getting to do research myself. I'm getting to engage with farmers and growers all across the world. Consumers, I have a consumer-facing aspect to my job since I do a lot of public talks and engage with a lot of different folks, both internally and externally from the organization. And that's also allowed me to extend my own credentials. So I'm actually wrapping up my PhD in May. I just
Congratulations.
applied for graduation. So I'm excited to have that wrapped up. And that's been supported through all of the different organizations that I've worked for. They've actually picked up the bill for that, which has been extremely helpful. And yeah, I guess I'd say the best part about, I mean, all the organizations I've worked for, Foster's, American Humane, Tyson, and Cargo, have all been wonderful. They all obviously have different methods in how they operate as organizations, but I certainly appreciate all those different experiences. It's not lost on me that I feel very blessed to be able to A, have made a career out of something that I love, and B, get to travel the world and talk about it. So it's been great.
Actually, I've got a couple of questions from the group. And Nick, I'm just going to piggyback on what you were saying. When did you decide to pursue your PhD?
So I decided to pursue my PhD shortly after I had started at Tyson. I knew that was going to be a particularly roadblock down the line in my career that I didn't want to have to come across. A lot of folks that are leading these global organizations focused on animal health and welfare were either veterinarians or had their PhDs, and I didn't want my lack of either to prevent me from being able to move up into those positions. And so I actively started pursuing my PhD. It was convenient in that I was living in Arkansas at the time. We have a great university here that has some animal welfare programs, so it was a natural fit. Certainly challenging working full-time and doing a full-time PhD, but it's doable, and ultimately I wouldn't have the position that I have now without being close to graduating with my PhD. It was a requirement. So
excellent. Actually, we've got a question for you, Galil. What are some of the software skills or tools that you think students should be developing for perhaps the kind of work you're doing?
I'd say pay attention in your Excel classes and learn some Excel on your own 100%, because for a lot of individuals that come from college and come into the workplace, you can tell that they're behind and they're not up to par. Excel is a tool that is used almost in every industry. So I'd familiarize myself with Excel and other Microsoft Office systems before I entered my specific workplace or workspace or industry. But we also use things, we have our own in-house system called Netware, which we use to track our inventory and other processing systems from field to produce or to store. I also saw, sorry, Mary, I also saw another question that said, what advice would you give people looking for jobs outside of California? I found my job when I, right after college in Mexico, at Fresno State on campus through the Willis. So there are opportunities to look for jobs outside of California, outside of the country, right on Fresno State's campus, and there are resources to help you find and acquire those jobs on campus as well. I really got lucky that I knew Mary and had associated with her to find this position in Mexico at the time.
Go ahead.
Piggybacking off of that too, I just think it's important for a lot of folks. I talk to folks all the time that are reluctant to leave California. And I always tell people, your next career move isn't necessarily a life sentence. Like, you might go work there for a year or 2 years and then move on to somewhere else or come back to California. It's just a stepping stone in your career. And early on, Michelle Gansey actually at Fresno State gave me some great career advice and referenced the ABCs of any job, better job, career. And it's always easier to get a job when you have a job. So when you're first looking out, applying at things that might not be your favorite, But all of those experience help build your resume and will enable you to then get a better job and then additionally career jobs beyond after that. So I encourage folks, if you're looking outside of California, to give it a chance. I mean, there's obviously a ton of great places around the country to explore, and you don't have to be there for the rest of your life. So dive in and do it.
Yeah, I was the person that said I'd never leave Modesto, California, and I'm so glad I did, because it opened my mind to more opportunities, more experiences, and more networking opportunities as well. So if you have the opportunity and if you have the chance, I'd say take it and give yourself a shot to try something new. I wanted to address Nathaniel Robinson's question. It says he's going to be coming to college as an older adult at the age of 25. I graduated college with my grandmother. My grandmother graduated from Humboldt State. She walked at the same time as myself. So I'd say no matter the age, no matter the path of life, take advantage of definitely getting your education and the resources that Fresno State has on campus, the Career Service Center, EMP. I was a part of EMP with Allie, and I highly encourage it. That program changed my life. It put me on the correct path, I'd say. There's a lot of resources on Fresno State's campus and throughout the valley that can help on your journey.
Someone who went back to school, I mean, obviously I worked in the industry for a while and then went back to school for my PhD. I would just encourage you to still get involved.
Yeah.
Nobody's really going to fault you for being older than anybody else. In fact, they'll probably lean on you for guidance and rely on you as a great resource. But I also will say, coming back to school when I was a little bit older, I just have a renewed sense of appreciation for my education. And so I feel like I probably focus more, I study better than I ever did when I was an undergrad. So I think there's certainly advantages to the route that you're taking as well. And certainly thank you for your service in the military.
I had never been more eager to learn, sadly, than when I got out of college, and then it cost me more money because then I have to go back now for my postgraduate education. So, stay eager to learn and always keep striving to learn more.
And have any of you been involved in hiring? That's kind of an interesting question. Hiring new staff and maybe having somebody who's older, or, what are you looking for when you do hire candidates?
I think that totally varies. So like I said, when I was at Tyson, I created a program and brought in about 70 plus individuals into that animal welfare program. So obviously looking for the technical skills that are required. So having experience in whatever you're hiring for, having a degree is important specifically for jobs that require them. And then also just being willing to learn. So I like folks that have an open mind. I'm always asking folks to challenge the status quo and to be a change agent in the organization. So always asking those questions in terms of, hey, why are you doing it like that? And maybe you're doing it the right way, but I want to know why and walk me through it. Because oftentimes when we start asking ourselves those questions, we find out that we don't really know why we're doing it like that, or the answer is because it's been done that way for generations. And then B, that there's probably a better way to do that might be more sustainable, more better for time management, might be easier for everyone involved. And how do we solve those problems? So I think, like I said before, having someone who can be a good communicator, a good self-starter, and then also someone who can meet those other criteria is important when I'm hiring.
Yeah, same here. Someone who's very cooperative, who's a good listener, and then is able to work in a team, because definitely we work on different projects. And someone who's open-minded, like Nick said, because sometimes you really need some things done in a certain way. So someone who's willing to learn something different. So I think experience as well, so, and degrees. So, but definitely someone who's a team player and who is willing to learn something new.
Excellent. Excellent. Let's see.
I haven't been involved in the hiring process, but I've directly managed, a team of 10 to 15 employees. And I can tell you, as a young person, I was 22 when I graduated, and a lot of these people, some of them were my friends' parents, some of them were people that I had known in my community. So having the communication skills and the wherewithal to know your surroundings, know the people that you work with. When working on a team, I look for collaborative individuals that want to learn more, that ask the right questions, um, that can teach other individuals on our team, and that want to grow with our company culture and our company mindset as well. So although I haven't had experience hiring people, my experience as a young manager, I'd say to other young managers to not be afraid of leadership, to embrace your teammates, to embrace your company culture, and to strive to be the best possible leader during your tenure your tenure as at your company. Excuse me.
Very good. And I had a question and it flew right out of my head. So give me a second. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, while you're thinking of that, I also think an important thing in hiring and both managing, folks always talk about treating people how you want to be treated, but I think it's really important to pause and treat people how they want to be treated, because we all receive differently and give differently. And I know I have employees who, when they do something right, they want me to just shoot them an email or talk to them privately, and I have other people that would much prefer me to have to say something in front of a group. So making sure you understand who your employees are and how to speak to them and how they like to be treated is really important, and that helps kind of bridge some of that gap between ultimately we can literally be speaking different languages, and I've led seminars where we talk about different terms relative to our own generations, and sometimes we'll have literally the exact same term that mean completely different things just several generations apart. And so making sure we're cognizant of how we're talking to each other, and that's something that I say might mean something totally different to someone older than me or younger than me, is important.
Yeah. Well, actually, it came back to me. I'm curious about your first job, because one of the things, sometimes when we're in college and we think, hey, I got this really great degree and it's, I deserve the corner office, although Alicia, you have the corner office because you're the founder. But in terms of your first job after graduation, were any parts of it where you went, wait, this isn't what I signed up for? And how did you navigate that?
I was fortunate, and like Ali, and I had worked full time through undergrad, and so when I first graduated and I moved to Tyson's facility, I was already leading their poultry animal welfare program, so it seemed exactly like what I had signed up for. But I do see people all the time who didn't take internships, didn't get involved through undergrad, and then they do have kind of a culture shock when they get into the career force and realize that they have to work their way up. And so I think being humble and making sure you recognize that, you have to do the work at some point. So you can either do it while you're in undergrad and working, and then you can be in a better spot when you graduate. Or if you wait until you graduate, like that's what you're doing for the first couple of years.
And same here.
You go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Same here. I mean, it was expected, and I knew what I had signed up for, and that's, I mean, a nice culture, very welcoming, and my internship experience helped me to be to succeed at that job, and so it wasn't a shock for me. So I think being able to participate in external activities while you're in college really helps you, and if you're not being if you're not participating or you're not doing internships, somewhat where you can feel that this is not something you've been looking forward to. So I think during an internship, I had an idea what I'll be doing, so I was okay.
Okay, excellent.
Going off of that, I also feel like, because while I've been in college, most of my jobs have related to my industry. My first one I actually got from LinkedIn, being a journalist for a company called Hemp Market Watch. So I feel like definitely, like the others, I've definitely felt prepared, because it was, I felt like it was what I expected it would be.
Yeah, because there's no matter what job, at least as having been an intern, you became aware of every job involves paying dues, is how I refer to it, and being aware that no matter where you go, you gotta pay those dues. You gotta sometimes do work that you're like, what? Why do I have to do it? Well, because you're the newest employee, and so, just helping our students understand that how important, and you're really emphasizing it, how important getting that relevant experience, be it through an internship or in Alicia's case through relevant part-time work, I think is so critical. We've got about we try and get these done at about 12:50. So we have 5 minutes. Oh, actually, one quick question from Nathan again. Were those internships paid or mostly unpaid?
I have never taken an unpaid internship, and personally, I had never heard of any unpaid internships unless it was working for the government or something while I was in college. I had never heard of an unpaid internship. And I would personally stay away from any unpaid internships. Free work is almost unheard of in America.
I will
Yeah, in fact,
actually
in most states it's
contradict.
illegal.
I'll actually contradict what Jaleel said because I've actually had interns for free, but they were high school students. So any high school students that are at CART possibly online might be familiar with that. But I thought it was a great opportunity to have that, not having to pay for the work, but having the work.
Yeah, I think the key to if you decide to accept an unpaid internship, always be enrolled in a relevant course, your internship course, because even with my nonprofit companies, I'm like, please don't, because you don't want to go with the Department of Labor, and that's one of the criteria for unpaid internships. And also, there needs to be somebody who's an expert in the work that you're going to do, because the whole idea of the internship is for you to learn. But like I said, we were sharing earlier, in the ag and food industry, the vast majority will be paid. Even I even want to say with some of the advocacy groups, the associations, they still pay for those positions. So as we're getting ready to wrap up, wanting to see if there are any other from the panelists, any final words of wisdom for our audience today?
Yes, I would just say don't be afraid to go out and try new things. Like I said, it's not a life sentence. If you go out and decide you hate it, you can always course correct, especially when you're fresh out of college, you have an entire career ahead of you. Don't be afraid to pivot. If you're doing something you're like, this is not for me, you can always change and you've got plenty of time to go try something else. So don't be afraid to jump in and just try it.
Be confident, try new things, and like Nick said, don't be afraid. And even if you have to move out of California, please do, because you can always come back. I started at Livingston, and I was lucky. I only worked there for 5 months and transferred back to Fresno. So you'll see the opportunities will line up for you. All you have to do is get out of your comfort zone, go work hard, and you'll follow the success. So definitely have your goal, rate your goals, and follow them. So be confident, believe in yourself.
I'd say be leaders and challenge the status quo. Innovate in the workplace. Don't accept things for what they are. Always strive for more and to innovate. Be a leader wherever you are in life.
Going off of what Jaleel said, I highly recommend also, or acquiring as many entrepreneurial skills as possible, because if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you will be a huge asset wherever you are, because you have such a well-rounded mind.
Mm-hmm. I call that being, when you do that within a company, being entrepreneurial.
Yes.
And it does keep you employed. So, well, as we wrap up our time, want to thank all the participants who attended. Hopefully you found this as informative and helpful as I did. And we look forward to you joining us again this spring. We'll have additional alumni panels throughout the semester where you can hear from Fresno State graduates how they got to where they are. Also, I encourage all of you, if you're a Fresno State student, please stop by the virtual career cafe, which you can access from our webpage. If you go to fresnostate.edu/careers, you can get to our virtual cafe page where you can get help with things like finding where are the opportunities outside of California. Because sometimes they don't post on Hire Fresno State because they don't know, but there's great opportunities everywhere. And then lastly, on our career page, we have a link. You'll see an icon for our YouTube channel where this workshop will be posted. So if you have friends that may be interested in learning about this particular career pathway, we really encourage you, or view any of the other videos that we've created in our past alumni panels, please feel free to jump in there and take a look at that. Again, thank you for joining us today, and thank you panelists for just amazing information. And thank you, audience, for taking time out of your day to get some real great wisdom from our alumni. So everyone, have a great day. Look forward to seeing you all again.
Go Dogs.